garden tour. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I make gardening and nature videos on YouTube. Normally I would do a garden tour Saturday, and I actually know what day it is today. It is Sunday, but I didn't get up to that yesterday, so we're gonna do a garden tour today. I was away for 5 days from my garden and there have been so many changes. I was so excited to see all the developments. So it is time to share them with you. I brought myself a drink today. It is a vitamin drink. I decided I'm going to aim for a little bit of a longer live stream today because I often cut them pretty short. We'll see how it goes. I have lots of things to share with you and to show you and to be excited about, and maybe you'll be excited too. But before we get right into it, my friend slash foe has arrived. Didn't expect this. Right around the corner. He's still gonna be here. He flew in the background. This little creature, there he is, who leaves me daily presents in the bird bath. And I'm willing to bet there isn't one here yet. I cleaned out my bird bath yesterday when I was out in the garden, because when I got home from my little adventure in the Okanagan, I had quite the carcass waiting for me in the bird bath. And that had been happening, let's just say, numerous times before I left. So he or she, there's usually two of them, they're always up to no good in the garden. I swear they play tricks on me, they eat my bulbs, they do all kinds of weird stuff. But anyways, there's a friendly nature to them too. We're going to talk about my plant problem once again. I said, whoa, I played with the buttons, my volume just went sky high. I said that I have a plant problem and that I was pretty much finished planting the vegetable garden. That was not true. My plant problem took over and I went plant shopping again, twice actually. And part of that is because there was a neighborhood plant sale and I couldn't resist. It was in support of the local catnip society, and recently I have quite a admiration for cats. I've never had one, but maybe one day I will. So I really wanted to support them, and my love of plants didn't stop me. We're gonna look at the vegetable garden. I bought a lot of stuff. I bought a few ornamentals, and then I went to other stores and bought some more ornamentals. These are probably going in the cat-friendly rock garden, but let's check out the vegetable garden before we get into the ornamentals. There is so much to see, both with my new purchases, my already planted garden, as well as some sprouts you guys have not seen yet. Hi, it cuts off on here. Do you mean the connection? I haven't seen the connection, or do you mean my face? I'm not sure. I was sitting on a chair, if that's what you mean. Is that better? YouTube changed some of the settings recently and I haven't figured them out. So it's very possible things are looking wonky. And I wish I knew how to change them because my last live stream did the same thing. No, you can't. No, you name on the live. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm very technology challenged, and whenever they change something around, it screws me up so bad. And they did some recent changes on the YouTube Live app function, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. Good day, Linda. We're gonna check out my vegetable garden on central Vancouver Island if you're new here, and this is a brand new property to me. I bought it last fall, moved on Halloween, and completely redid the entire garden in the last 6 months. It's a 9,000 square foot property and it has been redone completely. And this is what it's looking like right now. So some of the plants I bought just yesterday have been newly planted. I bought a lot of tomato plants. I don't know how many, but I'm gonna say maybe 8 or 10. And This is what some of them are looking like. These are the newly planted ones, not the ones that I already had in the ground. There's one of the original corner. And let me tell you, this was such an awesome plant sale. So what's the name on your live? I just put, now I don't know what it says, but what I've titled it was, I think, a garden tour growing on Vancouver Island or something like that. I'm not sure what it's saying, but there are some weird things going on with the YouTube settings right now. Yeah, I didn't have a creative name for it. It's a live garden tour. That's all it is. So this was one I picked up at the catnip sale. It's called Marvel Stripe. And I'm glad it hasn't gone into shock, because when I was out planting these yesterday, it was about 20 degrees, hot sun, full sun, just a lot of heat, and I thought a lot of these plants might wilt, but they're doing quite well actually. And here, this is one of my milk jug mystery plants, which is probably a squash. They're doing quite well in here. And if you remember, if you've been around for a while, this is the bed that I put both aged and unaged sheep manure in, earlier this season. And I'm really curious to see how the plants are going to do. So far, there's mixed results happening in here. Oh, your name is so long it cuts off on Van in Vancouver. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to change it, but I do know it's a problem with certain apps, certain social media platforms. It does cut off and it is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So quite here full. It doesn't look full at the moment, but there is a lot in here. And my goal with this garden was to basically take a square foot gardening approach so that it's going to be just jam-packed with all kinds of stuff. I don't know how well it's going to do, but that is the goal, to have it so the dirt isn't really exposed when we get right into the growing season. No, I am not in Vancouver. I am on Vancouver Island. A lot of people mistake my channel or me for living in Vancouver, but I live on an island that is about 2 hours by boat from Vancouver. Much more laid back, less people over here than on Vancouver, but it is a beautiful island. Or it's about a 20-minute plane ride if you take a plane, but usually it's about a 2-hour ferry boat ride from the mainland. So here's one of my original tomatoes planted a few weeks ago, doing pretty well. And I have planted sunflowers in here, as well as beans. So you can see here, this is a bean. And the goal is that these beans will climb up these branches. They might need a bigger trellis system, which I'm definitely going to create if I need to. And some more tomatoes. This one is on fire with growth. This was planted a couple weeks ago. This is a King of Siberia tomato. Starting to get flowers. And I will definitely have to create some kind of support system. I haven't done that yet, but that will come. Now, in the past, I've used traditional tomato cages, and I might use a few, but I have something else in mind this year, which will involve more trips to the beach. So stay tuned to see what that's going to look like. I don't know how it's going to come together, but I'm definitely planning something beach related to support these tomato plants. I have a lot of them. Coming this way, this is another mystery squash. And if you're new here, I put all kinds of rocks and wood pieces into this bed and a few of the other ones as a way to provide protection for these plants, also to generate heat, particularly for the squashes and melons. So I'm hoping that it's going to work, and I think it might also suppress weeds to some degree, so that's kind of a added benefit. Oscar Andrew, when I was a kid, I used to live on a farm in Tennessee with my mom and my mom's sister. My auntie, she needed help with the farm. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I don't live on a farm, I never have, but I think that would be a really fun lifestyle to have. What kind of animals did you have? Here is some of my spaghetti squash. It's doing particularly well in this sheep manure bed. Although I must say, some of my plants are getting eaten. And I think it's to do with the snails. I've seen quite a few snails in this garden. I had 0 at my old place, and they are just everywhere here. So that's kind of interesting. I'll show you more of my plants that have been annihilated by the snails. But first, I'm gonna check out my watermelons. Now, I made a special post about my little watermelon houses. I have 3 watermelon plants, and some are doing better than others. We're gonna look at each one individually. These are the little watermelon houses I created for them. This one is made of wood. This is from my firewood pit, as well as my trips to the beach, as well as my home renovation leftovers. So we have a piece of gutter, some wood pieces, and right in the middle we have a wilted watermelon plant. So this one is probably not going to survive, but that's okay. There's 2 other ones, and that's fine if it doesn't make it. She had cows, pigs, horses, sheep, ostriches, and 10 shepherd dogs. Wow, that's super fun. I'm sure that would have been a very adventurous life to have as a child with all those animals. Here is my second watermelon plant that is doing much better. And if you're not familiar with the climate on Vancouver Island, we are not typically suited to growing watermelons. This is why I do all these funky things. They're very challenging to grow here. This is anywhere from a zone 7 to 9, depending on who you ask. I'm going to say we're about an 8. So many people have different, let's just say, perceptions of what our hardiness zone is here, but I'm going to say we're a zone 8 on central Vancouver Island. So this watermelon plant is actually doing fairly well in this little enclosure. Sugar Baby is the variety. The rocks are to generate heat, and the sticks are kind of for protection. And this one is actually working out, so that is super exciting. I've only been able to grow watermelons successfully, I want to say once or twice in 11 years. I have tried it many, many times in my old property, and only twice in memory, one particular time, it worked out quite well, but it is a challenge, and I've tried all kinds of different ways to grow it, but it is always a little bit of a difficult thing to grow. But I love a good garden challenge. So there's my watermelon that's doing well. Coming this way, we have watermelon number 3 in a different little house. And it's doing okay. So it's kind of moderate. There is a bug eating it, but it is overall doing fine. Not as well as this one. And this one sort of could kick the bucket. It's on life support. So I think this one's going to do fine in its little enclosure. Just needs a little more time to get going. So let's venture. What else did we do here? We put some strawberries in. Hey, do you want to do a life of free, adventurous, transforming land taught in many regions? I don't know what you mean, but that sounds interesting. There are some strawberries I just planted yesterday mixed in with my tomatoes and my watermelons. Kind of an experiment, but I thought, why not? The plant sale had so many plants, I might as well fill up my space. And I'm hoping that this area is just going to be a big, massive green space with flowers and vegetables and fruits. We'll see how it all goes. Coming this way, we've got a different bed happening here. This one has a little more going on than the other one. So this soil was original to the property. The bed was original, but we reconstructed the foundation for it, took it apart, and rebuilt it. We, being me and my parents, they help a lot on these projects. So here we have some, I think it's a Tixade flower. I don't know. It was in this garden originally. Read it again. You misunderstood what I said. Hey, do you want to do life is what you want to do? Life is a free, adventurous, and transforming land taught in many regions. I still don't really understand what you're asking, but It sounds interesting. Yeah, so this is a beautiful flower. Do what you want to do. Yes, definitely. I believe it gets yellowy orange flowers. From my knowledge, if this is chick seed, I don't know for sure, but man, is it lush. Can't wait to see the flowers. And the chives are the purple that you see blooming behind it. And over here, this is what you guys, or my viewers, identified as being fennel. I did a taste test several weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. I didn't know what it was when it was really small, and look at it now. It is just so lush and beautiful. And here we have my garlic. We've got some lettuce I planted in the mix with the garlic. I'm trying really hard to cover up all the soil here over time. Planted a tomato there yesterday. And here we have evidence of what we're gonna say the snails have been up to. They completely annihilated one of my mystery squashes. They've been working on my second mystery squash. And this one has just a tiny bit of damage, but they have been busy eating my plants. I put some strawberries into this bed. It didn't have any before, but it does now. And what you're seeing right in front of you, this is all new. In the last 5 days, this all sprouted. This is my potato bed. So all of this beautiful lush green, these are all potatoes. Now, if you're new to gardening or you've never grown or eaten homegrown potatoes, I highly recommend it. A lot of gardeners don't want to grow potatoes because they have this perception that potatoes are a pretty inexpensive vegetable, so why would you grow them? Why would you waste your space growing potatoes? And some people would say the same thing to me and have said the same thing to me. And I will give you one specific answer, because if you've ever tasted a homegrown potato, there is no comparison. And I won't say that for all vegetables. I won't say that about carrots, because homegrown carrots to me taste the same as a store-bought carrot. But potatoes, holy crap. If you dig out a potato and cook it, say within an hour of digging it out of the ground, that flavor, there is no comparison. You won't find it in a restaurant. You won't find it in a store. You won't find it anywhere except if you grow it yourself. And that is why I grow them myself, because I cannot even describe how good the flavor is of a homegrown potato. I baked some homegrown potatoes, not tomatoes. I think it was last year or the year before. I can't remember. I grow them quite often. And I can't even tell you how delicious these potatoes were. They were just like off the charts delicious. I don't even know so much that it matters which variety you pick, whether you grow purple potatoes or golden potatoes or red potatoes or traditional russet potatoes. In my opinion, the flavor is unmatched. Sure, you can buy them at the grocery store. You can buy them somewhere else. And they're not that expensive, but the reality is you're not going to find that same flavor, even in a restaurant, because the freshness is not going to be there from when it comes out of the ground to when you get it on your plate. No comparison at all. I know, I might have said tomato, but I meant potato. Now, tomatoes are another story, and I do have a lot of tomatoes I am growing here. I don't know how well they're going to do, but if they do well, there could be a very abundant tomato harvest amongst the potatoes. So these are all the potatoes. Now in this corner we have another tomato with lettuce. And there was a cucumber. Let me tell you, the slugs completely demolished it. There were 2 of them actually, and they're gone. I'm blaming the slugs, but I didn't witness it. But I'm pretty certain they were slugs that did this. So I'm not having luck with my cucumbers. I planted numerous and they're all getting eaten, and my milk jug ones didn't do super well. So I'm going to direct seed some cucumbers probably later today. And I don't know if there's enough time left in the growing season for them to still flourish and do well, but we're going to give it a try. Another thing with cucumbers, that I didn't know until I grew them myself is just like potatoes, that flavor is like, you cannot compare it to a store-bought cucumber. The juiciness, the flavor is just overwhelming how good it is. So if you've never eaten or grown a homegrown cucumber, I highly, highly recommend it. But there are things to look out for when you're growing cucumbers, and number one is moisture levels. Cucumbers need quite a bit of moisture consistently. If you don't give them the adequate moisture, they will be bitter. So just keep that in mind if you're growing cucumbers. You really have to watch out for how much water you're giving them, and more is better typically. Same with blueberry plants. Blueberries love water. If you've ever grown blueberries, that is the number one tip, more than any fertilizer, more than anything else, is they love water. Blueberries are another fruit that are so different when you buy them in the store versus homegrown. I'll tell you a little story. I'm going to show you my blueberry plants actually. I have quite a few. There's one growing right here by the vegetable garden. This one doesn't have flowers for whatever reason, but I do have a bunch more since we're talking blueberries. They're all over the garden. I've really scattered them around just for fun. We're headed into this section of the garden now. And this is a blueberry that has, these are all brand new, by the way, if you're just joining in. Brand new plants planted this season, or end of fall going into winter. Just loaded with flowers all over this small little blueberry bush. And this is one fruit that as a child, I hated blueberries. I despised them. And because I had only eaten store-bought ones, and then one day my parents decided to plant blueberry plants in the garden, and for the first time I was able to try a homegrown blueberry. Oh my God, I love them so much. There is such a difference in taste between a homegrown blueberry and a store-bought. My opinion, it doesn't taste like the same fruit even. You know those long flower pots, use those, but first put the seeds in a paper towel, put cinnamon on wet, put them in the fridge until they sprout in a pot. Are you talking about blueberries growing from seed? I don't know what you're referring to, but I've never grown a blueberry from seed. You might be able to. I'm not sure. I also know you can propagate them. I did that actually in my old house, but more on accident than anything else. But you can actually definitely propagate blueberry plants. I did not do any tutorial videos on doing that because I'm not an expert on propagating blueberry plants, but it definitely is possible. And I suspect that's how nurseries do it because it's a lot faster than growing them any other way. So we're going to head back to the vegetable garden. There's more to see over there. I'm new, just joining. Welcome. This is my vegetable and fruit garden on Vancouver Island in Canada. So we're going to head back into this garden here. And we're going to check out what's happening here. Now, as I was talking about earlier, the slugs are annihilating my garden. This is a basil plant, and I believe this was all eaten by slugs. It's pretty unfortunate, but I do think it will bounce back, so I'm just going to leave it right there. And right beside it, I have a tomato plant. And I don't know how many people have heard this in the gardening world community, but supposedly if you plant basil with tomatoes, it actually makes the tomatoes sweeter. And I have done this in the past, and I do agree with that actually. To some degree, I do think there is truth to that statement. And I also think that they just grow well together, so why not plant them together? Now, this tomato is doing well. This is one I planted yesterday. It looks a little wilted. I don't know if it's going to make it, but we'll give it a little bit of time and see how it does. And over here, this is what I was talking about with the cucumbers. Just been annihilating my cucumber plants. This one is completely gone out. So that is the reason I'm going to be seeding some this afternoon later, because I'm not going to have any cucumbers soon if this continues. In the corner, I have a rosemary bush that is almost finished blooming. There's more strawberries in here. And lots of poppies have self-seeded. I've slowly been transplanting them into my rock garden. Poppies don't do well with transplanting, but sometimes you can get them to survive. And my little salad bar has gone to flower, and that is totally fine. Yeah, I love to take care of the garden. This is a kale plant that has gone to flower, and right next to it we have, this is arugula that has gone to flower. And if you're new to this channel, I love taste testing flowers, and I love edible flowers. There are so many edible flowers out there. And I'm going to show you that these are actually edible, but before you ever try eating a flower, do your own research. I have done extensive research on edible flowers. This is a kale flower, and I'll just give you a little taste test. I have eaten them many times. It tastes pretty mild. There isn't a ton of flavor, but let's try an arugula flower. Let's flip it around. Arugula, typically the plant, if you've ever eaten an arugula salad, it has a lot of flavor. Let's try the flower. Oh yes. So the flower of an arugula plant tastes very similar to the plant itself. It's got that nice punch of flavor, a little bit zesty, and almost gives nasturtium vibes. If you've ever tasted a nasturtium, whether you eat the flowers or the leaves, they're very, let's call them zesty, spicy. We've got a viewer. This crow is haunting my garden, I swear. Whoops. He comes by multiple times a day, sometimes leaves me gifts in the bird bath, and is always watching me. Where is he now? There, he's right there. And what is he doing? Hide and seek? Is that what we're doing? Usually he comes with a buddy. I don't know if it's his girlfriend or some other guy, but they always come by multiple times a day to check on the garden. So over here we have my Swiss chard. Now it was going to flower when I arrived home. Was that yesterday or the day before? And I took all the flowers off. Probably could have eaten them, but I was feeling lazy, didn't feel like making a salad, so I'm probably going to start harvesting this again. Lots of fresh new growth. Good morning, coffee walks and whatever. Welcome, a fellow Canadian is here. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Swiss chard. It is one of my favorite vegetables. I had never eaten it in my life, never grown it in my life until I bought this property last fall. It was already here. These are perennial on Vancouver Island. And I cannot tell you how delicious and how versatile they are. Let's look at the plant again. So it is so good. These leaves are just so amazing. I can't even tell you. The texture reminds me of romaine lettuce. But then if you eat the stems, it's almost like you get a mix of romaine lettuce with like a celery or even like a rhubarb kind of vibes. So you could cook this, you could saute it into like a stir fry, or what I usually do is most of the time I don't eat the stem and I eat it fresh, and I eat it basically in a salad or a wrap, kind of like a romaine lettuce substitute, and the flavor is so good. And you can literally just eat it in the winter, in the fall, in the summer. Well, I don't know about summer. I haven't seen summer yet. We're in late spring now, and the flavor is still really good. Even with it going to flower, it has not made the plant taste bitter or anything like that. So I am so in love with Swiss chard. I highly recommend, if you've never grown it, never tried it, you've got to give it a try. So good. You won't be disappointed. Right in front of me is a little planter I created. This is a bell pepper and a nasturtium that I grew from seed. This one is doing really well. These are edible, but I'm not going to eat it right now. I wanted to put energy into growing the plant. But just another little part of the garden. And I did put a rock in there to provide more heat for my bell pepper plant, who really loves heat. And over here we have pretty much the same thing happening. A bell pepper plant mixed with some pansies I'm growing from seed, and some mystery plant has sprouted in the corner. I'm just gonna let it grow and see what it turns into. And this guy is back again. He's like seriously watching me live stream. This is really interesting. I'm just waiting for his buddy that normally shows up. There's usually two of them, and they just get into mischief. Is he coming in the garden? I think he is. On the corner now. I don't know if you guys can see him. There's so much glare on my screen that I don't really see what the camera is seeing. But I think you might be able to see him in the corner. He's like literally just hovering around. So let's go around this side of the garden. This is my spinach, and I'm definitely going to start harvesting it. This is a purple mountain spinach, and it grows in these shades of purple, kind of olive green, pink. It is just so beautiful. And I may actually start harvesting this today because it is looking pretty good. I think it's time. Put it in a salad, see how it is. Then I can tell you in the future how it tastes. And, whoa, I don't know what that was, but something made a noise over here, which was a little disturbing. I just noticed I have either a tree or a shrub or something that I didn't plant growing in my garden. Now let me show you. I literally just noticed this on the live stream like a minute ago, not even. I feel like that's a tree. And I don't know what kind of tree it is. And should I let it grow? Should I not let it grow? It literally, look at the stem on that thing. And I want to know where the heck it came from. I did clean up this garden and I don't remember putting it there or seeing it there. But somehow this, what I'm going to say is a tree, has sprouted. And is this a tree I should keep or should I pull it out? I really don't know. Any thoughts on what this might be? Very interesting find. Nature gives you all kinds of surprises, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but definitely keeps life interesting. So, in this corner, we have another bell pepper going with a nasturtium. And we're going to journey to the back side of that bed in the distance and check things out over there. And I think after we've done that, I am going to dive into the ornamentals. There are some berries and other things around the garden I haven't showed you, as well as flowers. There's a lot of new flowers blooming, so we have a lot to see. This corner, let's check out the bees first. They are swarming on my little lavender plant. It's not that little, it's actually quite large, but lots of flowers and lots of bees. And these are actually the superstars of this garden right now. These tiny little bell pepper plants are the first ones to have any production. They are literally producing peppers already, and they're so small. It's kind of cute, actually. This one, and there's one over here that also has a pepper forming and more flowers. So that is so exciting. And I have some weeds to deal with in my gravel. The way I'm going about weed control, if you've been around for a while, I have a rock garden and I have a lot of gravel in this property. I am basically hand pulling. Sometimes I get the roots, sometimes I don't, and then I'm dosing them in vinegar. On a hot sunny day, vinegar is an awesome option for weed control. It is organic, and if you have a pet, which I don't, but I have in the past, vinegar will not hurt your pets. If you have a dog or a cat, it's not going to hurt them if they get into it. So it's much better than any other form of weed control. If you're talking chemicals and you have pets, not a good idea. Here's my little bee house. And let's take a look at some of the flowers that are starting to bloom. This is a rock rose shrub that is just starting to bloom. This one is called Grazewood Pink. These are super drought tolerant shrubs and they bloom through summertime. at least on Vancouver Island. I really love them. I had a couple at my old property. Good day, Ron from Vancouver. Welcome. Just showing my backyard garden on Vancouver Island. Coming this way, I have some sunflowers. And then my rose is just about to start blooming. Cannot wait to see these. Oh my goodness, guys, look at this. There's a little ladybug on there. How sweet. What a nice little surprise. And coming this way, I've added strawberries into this mixed border. This is an Autumn Joy sedum. And this is the star right now. This is so beautiful. This is actually a rock rose, just like the one I showed you. I love, love, love this color. I have so many different rock roses on this property, and I had some at my last place too. And this is by far my absolute favorite color of them. It's kind of like a vibrant pink. So, so beautiful, and I love the abundance of flowers. I have noticed that some of these produce a lot more flowers than others, and this one is like a superstar. I wonder if I have the tag. Now this doesn't look accurate. It says what does it say? Ben Lendy rock rose, but that color doesn't look like that to me. That looks pastel. And this is something else, but I don't care. If it's not that, that's fine. This is even more beautiful. Coming this way, another rose bush that is just about to start blooming. I don't have any roses blooming yet for whatever reason. I've seen them all around my city blooming, but they're not in my yard yet. Here is a little strawberry plant, and this one has started to form the berries. Not yet ripe, but pretty soon. A little weed I need to deal with. Coming this way, this is my multi-variety pear tree that I got at Canadian Tire in the fall. So I literally just planted this, I'm gonna say it was like November of last year. And it does have pears on it already. Not a lot, but there's 3 right there. And there's more that are actually a fair bit smaller. They're kind of hidden. Like there's one right up here. And I don't know if they're going to develop. It had about 50 flowers on it, but so many of them didn't get pollinated. So I might get 4 or 5 pairs, but I'm happy with that. Something to try. And coming this way, this is my raspberry loganberry planter setup here. Just planted this season. We have a Lantham raspberry. And I do believe they have berries on them. They did flower already. And I mixed them with some pansies. The pansies are super happy in this planter. And they're also mixed with peas. And yes, these are edible peas, not the ornamental ones. And they've been really slow to grow. They're just getting started, but I think it'll be really fun. I'm hoping they're going to climb up my little structure here that I have. And same with over here. We have a loganberry mixed with raspberries. And look at how many flowers were on this. I don't know if that was the raspberry. I think it was a raspberry. Lots of flowers were on there. I hope that they got pollinated. I don't really know. Lots of flowers on the pansies. And more peas at the back. I've got sunflowers mixed into this bed. And right beside me is a fig tree, also planted in the fall. And I think it has only 2 figs on it. There's one here and one here, but that's okay. At least it has something. And coming over this way, a little trellis in the corner, and I have more pea plants there. And this whole back border, this is all gonna be gladioli. There are so many of them in here. They're supposed to be pink and purple. So we'll see if that label was accurate, but it's going to be a wall of color. And there's a whole bunch of different flowers in here. This is I think it's English thyme. It was original to the property. And in case you're wondering, thyme is all edible. It doesn't matter if it's creeping thyme or the upright thyme. They're all edible, the flowers and the foliage. Super delicious, great in poultry dishes. Now this is what I am so excited about here. I don't know if this is a peony or if this is a, is it delphinium? I can't remember, but whatever it is about to bloom. This was original here on the property, and it's going to have so many flowers. I cannot wait to see them. That's the bird bath where the crows are often leaving me good and bad treasures. And here is one of my Desert King fig trees, fig tree number 2. This one I think just has one fig on the whole tree, but again, it was just planted, so that's okay. And there are some blueberries at the back mixed in with the gladiolis. Coming this way, this is one of my favorite shrubs. This is original to the property, a California lilac, and it is just starting to bloom. Look at those blooms, it's so pretty. The camera's focusing. Purpley blue, really, really gorgeous. This is a very drought-tolerant evergreen perennial on the Vancouver Island climate. Super, super great for low water usage. And the bees usually love it, but I haven't actually noticed that many here for whatever reason. They're going for my lavender right now. We have raspberries and strawberries. Awesome! This is a purus bush. This is ornamental, not edible. And it does get beautiful flowers, and the new growth is always this beautiful red, vibrant color, really striking in the garden. I have lots of these little baby mushrooms popping up everywhere. I'm not a mushroom expert. I don't know if these are edible. But what I did when I created this garden, there's a blueberry, is I put unaged horse manure throughout this entire bed. So underneath this beautiful mulch is actually unaged horse manure. I did that in the winter fall of last year, going into this year. And I think that's where all these mushrooms are coming from, because usually mushrooms here mostly grow in the fall. But I've got a ton of mushrooms popping up in different places. There's the blueberry again, hydrangea. This is a mock orange. Like if we look over here, got mushrooms growing amongst my pansies, more little mushrooms. The mushrooms are really just everywhere in this garden, wherever there's manure. So I went with horse manure, and it looks like I'm getting mushroom manure in the process after they decompose. So we're going to take a look at some other regions of this garden. This is the backyard, what I've shown you so far. I have a few other regions. I have a rock garden. We're going to take a brief look at the rock garden. There's been some changes there. And I haven't decided if I'm going to show you my work in progress, which is basically a, let's call it a clover wildflower garden that I started, it's been a month. It's been a while. And yes, I have clover sprouts, and yes, I have wildflower sprouts. They're really small, and they're mixed with some weeds, but the whole purpose was to make it a no-mow garden, and it is coming along very slowly. So we might dive into that, but first, the rock garden. So this is the general layout. If you've never seen it, I'm going to show you an overview before we actually look at the plants. Probably going way too fast. I need to slow down here. So when I moved here, this was all basically, you see grass. It was basically weeds and grass, but a lot of weeds. So I did not want to mow that. On this side of a property, that would have been a nightmare. So I had this vision for creating a rock garden. And this is how it turned out. We'll look at some of the finer details. I really love rock art. I had a rock art on my last property, but I wanted to do something a little different here. So I've been playing with rock art in a lot of different areas of the garden. And this is how it's turned out so far. I've got some hearts over here. Oh, I have to show you this before I forget. I grew these from seed and I'm so proud of myself. These are African daisies and I tried to grow them in the past and I was never able to. Now they are very tiny, but that is fine. I will get them to grow bigger, gonna give them some seaweed extract and that'll spruce them up a little bit. But I just love that they're blooming. They're so pretty. I hope that they fill in this whole heart with color. And then I have a bigger heart over here, which was created unintentionally actually. And I planted a bunch of flowers in here too. You can hardly see them, but there are actually lots of little flower sprouts. I actually started these in milk jugs and moved them out here. And so far so good. We'll see if they bloom, but I'm hoping to fill up the hearts with different colors. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I pressed a button when I tripped and there we go. I couldn't see the live stream for a minute, so I didn't know if you guys were still there, but looks like you're still there, so it's all good. This is a little wallflower. I highly recommend these flowers. The bees love them and they bloom for so long. There's a bee on that flower right now. They come in different colors. You can get pinks, yellows, burgundies, really, really pretty flowers. This is kind of a yellowy orange one here. And we've got some lavender blooming. This is my favorite bush. This is a spirea shrub. They come in many different shades of these yellow, orange, lime green, just beautiful foliage colors. And they get the most beautiful pinkish, I want to say almost pinkish fuchsia flowers in the summertime. Actually, they're almost gonna bloom. I cannot wait to see what this one looks like. I had a similar one on my old property, but this is original to this property, so I cannot wait to see the flowers. And my rock rose ground covers are starting to bloom. So exciting. This is more of an orangey colored one. And I really want to show you guys my cactus. Now, this is one that one of my neighbors gave me when I first started creating this rock garden. Somebody walked by and asked if I wanted some cactus. I said, absolutely. And let me show you how they're doing. They're doing so well. I've never grown cactus on Vancouver Island before. Check it out. This is all new growth. When I planted it, it was one single paddle and it is just on fire with growth and lots of spikes on here, so don't get too close, but what a beautiful plant. I am shocked that this is growing on Vancouver Island and it is thriving. That is so amazing. And I have another cactus to show you. This one is from the neighbor as well. So we'll see how that one is doing. And then I have a few more cactuses to show you. So this is also from my neighbor. And it also has new growth on it. It's been out for, say, a month or month and a half since they gave it to me. And it does grow in their yard. They have apparently a lot of cactus in their yard. Now I'm going to show you, I did an experiment. Now this might be something I regret, but I have prickly pear cactus that have been growing in my house for several years as houseplants. And my knowledge tells me that you can grow them in Canada outside. So I took a risk and I put my houseplant cactuses outside in the ground, my prickly pears, and we'll see how they do. So far, mixed results. Right here, this is the one, I've only put them out about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, not even. So it's doing okay. I don't know if this was from the cold or from the heat because it was pretty wacky weather recently. It is showing a little bit of damage. I might cut these petals off. I haven't decided yet, trim it, or just wait and see if it rebounds. It's still okay. I know it's gonna do fine, but it did have some shock from the planting process. So I may give that a trim, haven't decided. And it does have a little New Zealand flax growing right next to it. Slow to grow, but it's coming. And I have another prickly pear cactus. Here, same thing happened, but I think it'll be fine. Now, for whatever reason, the crows have not wanted me to plant these in my garden. I've tried to plant them everywhere and they keep digging them up. Don't ask me why. Doesn't matter where I plant them, they get dug out by the crows pretty much daily. And if you've been around for a while, early last winter, I decided to create a surprise for the mailman. I'm going to show you the mailbox and what I did near the mailbox. I did show this in a shorts video, but we're going to do an update on the little mailbox garden. Check it out. So right over here, this is a mailbox right beside my property. Right here, we got the Canada Post symbol. And this is a little mini wildflower garden I made for the mailman. I don't know the names of all these flowers, but it is so beautiful. We have this beautiful pure blue flower right here, and it's mixed in with this pastel purple spotted flower. I think it is just gorgeous. And the poppies have started blooming. I am so excited. I love the contrasting shades of the orange with the blue, and the purple is just so lovely. And then I have this mystery flower. If anyone knows the name of this, I am so curious. I've never seen this before, actually, and I've grown a lot of wildflowers over the years on Vancouver Island. I don't know what this is, but I would love to know the name. If you know the name, let me know. There's another one of those mystery flowers. And over here, I feel like this is called Status. I think I've grown it before in a wildflower mix. And there's more of those beautiful yellow mystery flowers. And there's a lot more poppies coming. I suspect these are the standard beautiful red wild poppies. I think they're the taller ones. And there's a whole pile of them in here. So I think in probably a few weeks, this is going to be very striking with red flowers. And we've got more wildflowers here. A few more over here. I'm hoping that by fall, I'm going to do some more work over here, that I can kind of extend this wildflower garden a little bit more out that way towards the ditch. We're going to go check out some of my beds in the far side of the property and see what's happening there. I have one little surprise I want to show you from Mother Nature. But before we do that, we'll stop and look at some other plants. This is a windmill palm, original to the property. It was in my vegetable garden when I moved here. And I just brought it out here and it is so happy. There's so much new growth on it. And I did seed a whole bunch of wildflowers in this gravel area. And I would say it's a mixed collection of flowers that are sprouting. But the poppies are the first to bloom. And I wouldn't mind if this whole area was covered in orange poppies. That would be totally fine with me. So over here, we have more poppies. I believe I can't remember what these are called. If this was a mix or if this was something I planted, but these are definitely a different variety of poppy growing. And these I think are wild roses. They were here in the grass when I created this bed. I realized somebody had weed whacked all these rose bushes down to the ground. So I'm hoping that they bloom this season. I don't know, but this area is full of roses. And I have a little pansy mixed into the rose bush collection. And some more pansies here with the roses. And right in the middle, this has been blooming for a while. I don't know how it's going to do, but so far so good. It's a wine and spirits I cannot say that word. Willigia. Beautiful dark burgundy black leaves, and the flowers are so beautiful. Kind of a creamy white color. But I just spotted what I really came here to show you is a little surprise from Mother Nature. I just love when you get sprouts that you weren't expecting. Check this out. A little Japanese maple has sprouted here. I think that is just so delightful, and look at that color. I have grown Japanese maples that are this size up into like 6 to 8 foot trees at my last property over the course of 10 years. But regardless, these are actually quite pricey trees. And I suspect this tree is actually, if you see in the distance, there is a Japanese maple just down the street. I think that's what it is. It might be a different one, but it could be the same one. And regardless, it is so beautiful and striking. I just love how nature sometimes gives you these little surprises. And coming this way, we have some yucca, just starting to put on new growth. And more yucca, and that is a New Zealand flax. And in the middle, there are some hens and chicks. There's all kinds of flowers growing in this bed too. Wildflowers, there is, I think this is a foxglove. There's a few autumn joy sedums that the crows didn't pull out. Actually, I missed showing you something in the other bed. We'll stop and take a look at that. I did plant early on in this garden makeover. I planted red hot pokers in here. I thought the foliage would be striking with the palm tree nearby. Kind of gives you that tropical vibe. So that's what I was going for. I don't know if they're red or yellow, but I have 5 or 6 of those in here, mixed with wildflowers. And then I have my cat-friendly rock garden. If you've been around for a while, you know I'm attempting to attract more cats to my garden. The stones are often getting misplaced, I noticed. Sometimes from my watering, and I think sometimes whether it's crows or other animals come and misplace them. I do know a couple dogs have visited. They left me evidence. I don't know if the cats have been here yet, but I'm hoping they come soon. Here's another little cat that I made. And this is a smoke tree just starting to get its leaves. It's going to be so striking the more it develops. And this is my apple tree. This is original to the property. And let me tell you, it is doing so well. This is a multi-variety apple tree. And there are quite a few apples on it. We're just, oh, is that a ladybug? No, it's not. Never mind. There's lots of apples on here. I'm actually likely going to have to thin this out. I really don't know how old this tree is, but I don't think it's very old. I'm going to guess 3 to 5 years max. And it is just full of apples. So that's pretty exciting. If you've been around for a while, you know I had 2 huge producing apple trees at my last property. And guess who's back? The crow. Whoops, too much zoom. He's on the fence. Back to watch the live stream. Or maybe not. He's going for the garden while I'm not there. So that is the apple tree. And then we have a few more trees to check out. This is my lavender bed. Lots of lavender in here. And this is another fig tree. I don't know the variety. I think it's Desert King. It was original to the property. It's quite lush compared to my other ones. I can't remember if I saw any figs on this tree actually. I looked the other day and I don't recall. I don't think there was, but maybe it's still too early. I don't know. But what I did is I planted pea plants to grow amongst the fig tree, and it is working. Check it out. The pea plants are actually climbing the fig tree, and this is an edible pea. This is either potted or snow peas. I can't remember what it was, but definitely edible, not ornamental. So that's pretty neat. I think I'm going to end the live stream here. We've seen a lot of the highlights of the garden today. So thank you so much for joining me this morning on my live garden tour. And I hope you have a lovely day today. We will see you soon in another video. Bye-bye.